right, so up next we have Christy. Let me get you unmuted here. And Dwayne, I'll throw you on mute now. Christy, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Great. Yep, we've got you.
Great.
So everyone, this is Christy Lewis from the Center for Independent Futures out of Chicago. And I was lucky enough to get a demo of their My Full Life program about a week or so ago. And I'd heard about it before, but when I saw the demo, it was much more robust than what I could have ever envisioned. So I wanted to get her on here to kind of show you guys this. And Christy, I'll turn it over to you and I'm going to steal your thunder.
Great. Thank you so much. Can you see my screen?
Nope, not yet. We've got you.
Okay, let me just, so I click on.
Should be like a share button down there in the bottom middle. There we go. It's starting. Okay. Now we've got you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for having me. We're really excited to be here today, representing the Center for Independent Futures. I'm going to take you through a little bit about the background about how this was, the background of how this was modeled after, and then take you into a live demonstration of the actual learning management system. So just to start off, the full life model is the philosophical concept behind this learning management system. The founder, Jane Doyle, developed this model, and it is person-centered planning approach to learning. And so it starts off at the center. You'll see an individual's hopes and dreams. And the planning process is really the first step in listening to the individual of what their hopes and dreams are. From that, you'll see 8 circles that are basically around the center. And the 8 circles represent different areas in someone's life. And we really feel as though they're all interconnected. You have an earning my way circle, and an individual we're helping look at, from a person-centered approach, what type of employment they want to pursue. And so there's curriculum based in the earning my way circle, but as you know, once you sort of achieve that goal of getting a job, then you need to plan on how you're going to actually get there. And so in the getting around circle, there's transportation curriculum. And then basically going out into the community engagement, interacting with other folks. So the model itself, it's person-centered planning. It's asking the person what their hopes and dreams are. And then each of the eight essential circles sort of encompasses their whole life with the goal of living a really enriched life. So there's 3 different approaches. The planning process is asking that person, just like I had said with the full life process, what are their hopes and dreams? And then the next step is looking at the skills, and all of this was a paper-based educational model that has been developed by educators over the last 20 years. Within the last 3 years, it was actually taken from a paper-based model and put onto a platform, and really just allowing this skills inventory to, as I'll show in the demonstration, to collect data and really looking at the strengths of an individual, with what skills they know, and then looking at areas of opportunity for learning. And we look at it as a strength-based program, and then just basically driving the curriculum, which is the next phase, and looking at the skills curriculum of how to take it from an educational model of a teaching model and learning skills, and similar concept to what Dwayne was speaking on, just with the end goal of living an independent life. So I'll just go ahead right into the learning platform. So when we conduct the skills inventory, these are the 8 circles that you'll see as part of the full life model. And so if I go into community engagement, so this is a skills inventory for an individual that we would be supporting. And so basically sitting down with the individual and collecting this baseline data on how they would rank these. So I have learned, I am learning, I need to learn, or no experience. An individual would sit down and fill out each of these 8 circles to collect that information on where they're at with their skills. We have over 300 skills listed in the skills inventory. Again, it was developed by the founder, and the concept is looking at it from a comprehensive, holistic approach of looking at an individual. Some curriculum may have just training travel, so you might have skills on getting around. Another curriculum might have employment skills, and we see value in understanding the whole picture of all of the skills. And so with that, 300 skills were listed in the skills inventory, and a person would go through in each circle and rank them. So at the end of this, once all the skills are ranked within each of these 8 circles, this is where we really celebrate the strengths. So if an individual has clicked on I have learned, all of these are going to be that individual's strengths that we can build upon. If an individual has ranked I am learning or I need to learn or no experience, we really view that as a learning opportunity. And so once that information is collected, the learning opportunity is going to be listed over here as next steps. So the next steps, that's where we really look at the skills curriculum available to teach those skills. And so we have currently over 150 lessons built within the learning management system. We have 2 curriculum writers on our team that are constantly writing curriculum. And so we look at those I need to learn or no experience rankings, and then we start to pull from the curriculum to start to teach those skills. So over here, you'll see the different next steps. If you want to look at it from a class approach, if you're teaching a group, currently we're in an agency in Illinois where they're focusing just on jobs and careers. So you could pull up the lessons down here as an educator or as a direct support in an agency. And here it's going to list all of the different lessons that we have available. You could also do a search. Let me see if I can shrink this. Let me just go over and show you an example of a lesson. Wellness, self-care, getting around. I was going to pull up. We just developed this Uber lesson. We definitely look to schools that we're in and agencies that we're working at and look for feedback for content. And so this was definitely an area of opportunity where individuals were ranking that they had never had experience with Lyft. So curriculum was developed on how to educate an individual how to use Uber. You'll see that all of the lessons, you'll start to see a pattern. All of the lessons are definitely created in one model. And so you'll start to see a pattern as you look through a curriculum of how to kind of look through and see what you want to utilize to teach individuals. We also have the ability, or you have the ability as an agency or a school system to upload your own curriculum if you've developed it. So that's also an option. There's a full lesson plan that gives the step-by-step instruction on how to present the material. And then there's action steps. The action steps are, so this particular skill, it's always going to be tied to a skill. The skill is always going to be listed in the skills inventory. The skills inventory is dynamic, so as an individual works through these action steps and completes the learning check, that's our form of assessment. It will update in the skills inventory and automatically move from I want to learn or I need to learn to I have learned, kind of just all along capturing that progress. So this skill is I can learn to travel by taxi cab, or I can learn to travel by an Uber. Most of the lessons are tied. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. I had a question, and I think it might tie into Connie has a question as well.
Okay.
So where can you access the skills inventory and curriculum? Is that through a website that you guys created, I'm assuming, right?
Absolutely. So it's housed on a Google server. And so the technology needed for any individual to access it would just be access to the internet. It is a web-based solution. and it can be utilized on a laptop, a desktop, a iPad. So yeah, just needing the technology to access the web.
And then was the learning curriculum, is that designed more for a DSP to to use that curriculum to then teach the skills to the individual, or is the individual like self-learning through the curriculum, or maybe can be either way, maybe?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's definitely used, it's definitely been developed to use in a session with an instructor. So the instructor could be a teacher in a school. Within our agency, our instructors are tutors, and there's individual one-on-one tutoring sessions with individuals either in their home or in the community or at our agency location. In agencies that we partner with across the United States, and we're currently working with an agency in Canada, their model is that the direct support, either on a one-on-one basis or in a classroom setting, facilitates the learning. It would definitely, it is not best practice for an individual to, they can't assign a lesson to themselves. It has to be in some sort of a instructional method with working with another individual.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah. So this is an example of the PowerPoint, going through and just kind of giving the education and some good visuals on what it means to ride in a taxi or ride in an Uber. These are all, this is the PDF, but an instructor, a direct support would have access to a PowerPoint. And so they are able to manipulate the PDFs and clone them so that they could use them within their organization that best fits the needs of the individual they're working with. It will also oftentimes when you're working through action steps take you to outside links. So built within the system, part of the action step is going out to a Lyft website. We have videos. So here's a video on how to set up how to download and set up an Uber account.
Want to sign up for Uber and start using the app, but not sure where to start? We'll help you get going. I'm Jessica from techboomers.com. In this video, I'll show you how to download the Uber app and sign up for an Uber account. Now let's get started. To start, grab your smartphone or tablet and open up the App Store. At the top of your screen, tap in the search bar and type in Uber. Then tap search.
So another feature that we put in the learning checks. And so the learning check is going to be, this is going to be the form of an assessment to see if the individual has gained this skill. So there are a lot of these checklists built within the system. And so the concept behind the checklist is that it is valuable to sit and learn the material on using the technology through the PowerPoints, through the videos, through some interactive matching, a lot of different methods of learning. But then the concept is to take this information and to go out into the home, into the community, into life and practice it, really gaining that experiential learning. So we've created these checklists, and what we found is if we just take a step-by-step, break down the process and go through this checklist with an individual, if an individual goes with their tutor or their direct support and actually practices this in a community, with the concept of doing it 3 times, that by that 3rd time, that if they're able to do it independently, that they've learned that skill. The instructor would then go through with it in online and check that they've mastered that skill. There's a grading system. And then once that has been graded by the direct support, it would dynamically move in from the skills inventory to I have learned how to use an Uber. So if I go back, I want to show you. So this is what it would look like. That actually I want to show you from the perspective of this is what, if an instructor logs in, this is what their class looks like. Or a direct support might have 2 direct supports working with multiple participants. So if I go into participant Jonathan, again, this is just a demonstration campus, but this is what it looks like when Jonathan logs in. So here's what has been determined, the goals that Jonathan is going to be working on. And you can see that part of it is shaded in. And so what that means is, for example, I know the difference between a want versus a need. When Jonathan starts working on this particular goal, each of the action steps are below. And once Jonathan starts working through it and looking at the first action step of viewing the Power PDF slides, he might sit down with the direct support and take a look at these items that are in the shopping cart and have that conversation. You know, what is it? What is a need? What picture represents a need? What picture represents a want? And after they have that conversation, right, it's definitely meant to have that educational conversation. When Jonathan marks it as complete, the bar moves over and the first action step has been completed, and Jonathan starts to see a kind of a visual representation of where he's at in the learning process of this. So again, just taking it to a deeper level of having the conversation between the needs and the wants. Goes further along, take a trip with the group. And so this is the actual area where they're going out into the community at a shopping store, and they're looking at different things. So, you know, within this community, is the food that's at the store, is that a need or a want? That's going to be a need. And so actually breaking it down and collecting that information and putting it in the system to show that evidence of learning. And then sharing it. Once Jonathan has shared it, the teacher's going to go in and grade it. And once that action step has been graded, that will dynamically move within the system that Jonathan has learned the difference between a need or a want. These goals up here that Jonathan is working on, these are goals that have a curriculum that we've developed tied to the lesson, to the goal. Down here, you'll notice that there are individual goals. And so Jonathan is able to, let's see if I can get to it. I'm just going to shrink this down for a minute. Jonathan is able to go in and create a goal that may not be tied to our curriculum. Potentially, Jonathan wants to learn how to, would like to make it a goal to go visit his grandparents in Florida. So that is a goal that we wouldn't have curriculum tied specifically to that, but definitely want to support Jonathan from a person-centered planning to reach his hopes and dreams. So you would go ahead and sit down and create this. I would like to visit my grandparents in Florida. Once you do that, you do have to pick a category from our 8 circles. So that would just be, I would say, getting around. And then you create action steps. So you sit down with Jonathan and you take a look at what steps does Jonathan need to complete to be able to achieve that goal. Here's an example. I learned how to make new friends at the dance. Jonathan will verbalize his needs when he's having trouble. This is actually one that's tied to our lesson. Let me just pull this up. So with this particular example, we use this with another one of our participants that was working with a tutor. And so they actually sat down and came up with a step-by-step action step on how to make new friends at a dance. And then as Jonathan works through it, If you tie a skill from our skills inventory, this is this little star bubble represents a learning check. If you tie a skill to one of these action steps, even if you're not using our curriculum, it will dynamically capture that information that Jonathan has learned that skill. So this would probably be in the connection circle. So again, these are the lessons. Just kind of want to take through and show the the robust available information within the system. You've got curriculum on lifelong learning. They're broken up into different categories under lifelong learning. There's different categories: time management, personal growth and learning, technology and phone usage. We've encouraged school systems to really help focus, with that learning process, being a participant in your IEP meeting. And we also are encouraging of our individuals that we support taking a major part in their planning meetings. And so we definitely focus on building a network of support. But within that network of support, when you're sitting down for a planning meeting, that individual is at the center of the planning meeting. And so there are different graphic organizers, goal maps, visuals to really help break down that kind of overwhelming feeling of how do I participate in this meeting effectively, breaking it down and using these goal maps to really create an opportunity for an individual to list out what their hopes and dreams are in each of the 8 different circles and be a participant in that meeting. My Place is definitely an area that focuses on life skills. When we're in agencies, oftentimes this circle is used in a life skills class. So within the life skills, it's broken up into different areas as well: home cleanliness and safety, care of clothing and linens, kitchen appliance use, meal planning, meal preparation, and grocery shopping. Within the skills inventory, the skills have been identified with an S and with a Q. And with an S, all of the skills that have an S, I'll show you what that looks like. Here's a list of all the skills. And I'm going to go ahead and just do a search on S. And all of the skills that come up with the S, those are skills that we've identified as safety. And so we look to our program team, right? Because the program team are the individuals that are working directly with our individuals that we support that are living in the community. And so we look to their knowledge to really understand what skills are necessary that are safety skills. And those skills are critical for learning in order to live an independent life. And so that helps kind of narrow down what area you want to focus on if living independently is a goal of the individual. Beyond S, we value quality of life. And so we've identified goals that are quality of life. And so, it's not critical to have these skills as a skill that you are able to show that you've learned to live independently, but it is really, part of the quality of life when you know how to set a goal for yourself, or you know how to set your alarm on a clock or a phone. This is just a quality of life. And so that represents quality of life skills.
I think we could all benefit from learning how to set goals for ourselves.
Right. Yeah. I think
actually, we have a question come in, and I'm just going to read this to you.
Okay.
How do agencies partner with the Center for Independent Futures? Are there variable levels of participation based on the number of users, or do staff complete Center for Independent Futures training prior to using the curriculum? So I guess kind of speak to that a little bit.
Sure, that's a great question. So what we do is we provide a partnership opportunity for using the learning management system by we begin the process with professional development. And so we've done the professional development on site with staff, or we've done it through virtual training. And so realistically, you know, that first part of it is because it is a whole process of learning. It's not a standalone curriculum where we give you the username and the password and you log in and you start utilizing the learning management system. So it is a initial professional development component to this that usually is at the front end. For example, we would do a 6-hour training, and the training is on how to do person-centered planning, how to use the skills inventory, and then how to utilize the skills inventory and the person-centered planning to select the curriculum. So once that professional development takes place, and we go through and teach the model and how to use the model to drive the learning, then you're pretty much, you know, ready and set to go. And individuals that purchase a seat within the agency is able to go ahead and facilitate that learning however they see fit, either on a one-to-one basis or in a classroom setting. The seats are sold in blocks of you could purchase as few as one seat for an individual and one seat for an instructor, or you could purchase them in blocks, up to 100 blocks, 100 seats, 200 seats. So you can actually, that's where the volume discounts come in, but you can purchase them as an individual seat with an individual learner, or in this group sets.
Yeah, so the $1 million question is how much?
Well,
and where do they go get it?
Well, it's not $1 million. So the seat itself, individual seat, is $60 a year.
And that's per learner?
Per learner, yeah. So for $60 a year, an individual could have a seat and access to everything that you're looking at, and the same price for the person doing the instruction. The direct support or the tutor would also be $60 a year. And then the professional development that we provide, the professional development on site, it's $125 an hour for that training. And if it's off-site virtual training, it would also be $125 an hour.
I have a question. If you load in individualized learning or content that is, an agency is using this for an individual and they load in some of their own training and their own content, I'm assuming they can use that same content across different learners, correct? So if they load in a module, they can use that for Bob, and they can also use it for Sally. Right.
And that's, I think, the best feedback that we've gotten is that this learning management system creates consistency. So if you've got some great travel training curriculum that's working for your agency and you have 5 different locations, we value what you've created as best practice for your agency. So you could upload that travel training curriculum. It would be housed within your campus, within your system, within your individual campus. And Bob at this particular location would have an opportunity to access it, and Sally at this other location would have the same opportunity to access it. You're housing it within your campus when you log in. Consistency also, another agency was, they were interested in exploring connection in the connection circle. We have curriculum on just really identifying and explaining different levels of relationships for individuals with disabilities. So explaining to an individual that you may have an acquaintance, you may have a friend, you may have a romantic partner, you may have a Facebook friend, right? These are all different types of connections and relationships you have. And an individual, a direct support coming into this conversation might have a different perspective of what those types of relationships are based on their life experience. We all kind of bring different things to the table. So using this curriculum creates a consistent message of what these different individuals are, who these different individuals are in your life. And so that Bob at this location is getting that same information about these different connections as Sally is. So consistency, is definitely some feedback, a lot of feedback that we've received as being a really critical part of this learning management system. I'm just going to roll through the rest of the curriculum kind of overview so that you can see it. And then I'm just going to talk a little bit, kind of finish up with the data that's used to collect it and why that's important. So I think we ended with my place in meal planning, meal preparation. There's curriculum on grocery shopping. The next circle is connections. There's curriculum in community and listening. There's curriculum in fun and talents. Wellness, in the wellness circle, there's curriculum on self-care, physical health, safety, emotional health, sexual health. The next circle is getting around. So there's curriculum on getting around. All of this curriculum, you've seen the action steps to complete it. You can also add an action step. So we had an agency upload, they were using our getting around curriculum, and they uploaded all of the maps in their area and attached it to an action step. They also added the PACE route and some public transportation routes that were specific to their area. And so you are able to not only use our curriculum, but then also add additional action steps of information that's applicable to your area so that you can really specialize and use it. And again, keep that consistent message. Once you upload that map in your area, everybody that's logging in has access to it. And you don't have to do it. You don't have to recreate the wheel each time. It's uploaded, it's in your system, and you have access to it as you need it. Community engagement is another circle. And then within Earning My Way, there's curriculum on basic money skills, money management, and jobs and careers. We are very interested in partnering with agencies, and we listen to the feedback. So as you are going through this curriculum, and if you're finding areas that you're interested in having additional curriculum, we welcome that feedback and definitely take it into consideration when we're developing content.
Yeah, I remember you said that you were creating lots of new content and possibly looking for somebody to maybe help manage the technical part of this. There's maybe some tech folks on here that would know somebody. Is that still something that you're looking for, Chrissy, or?
Yeah, we're just, we're exploring all areas of partnerships. Currently, we manage everything within the Center for Independent Futures. We have, the curriculum writers on staff. We have our software developer on staff that we meet with on a weekly basis. And at some point, we're just building out capacity. We know that another community that's used this learning platform and put their own curriculum on is a community that had 4,000 learners. And so we do have the ability to scale it at a pretty high level as far as volume goes. And so we want to ensure that we are providing, we're a small nonprofit just outside of Chicago, as you mentioned, Dustin. And so we want to make sure that we're providing the best possible support we can. So as we grow and as this expands, we are always looking at additional partnerships, either from a technical side or from a content and curriculum side.
Cool.
Thanks for that. And then just, I think just to finish up, just talking about the data piece. So analytics can be used as a macro or a micro level. When you're talking about a class or an agency location, you can look at the entire agency, and you can look at how many times the people on site have logged on, the individuals have logged on, how many action steps they've completed, and how many goals they've completed. And it also will give you a visual and show you kind of where you're at with working through the different circles. you can also look at it from an individual's perspective, and let me just pull that up. So if Jonathan's filled out his skills inventory, January 1st, and he's having, 6 months later in June, a planning meeting, you could take a look at Jonathan's progress. And you could either capture it through the skills inventory, and you can look at, basically run a report on, in all of these different areas, where has Jonathan gone from these categories of I am learning, I need to learn, no experience, where has he gone to the ranking system of I have learned. So you could look at it as skills obtained. And then how we celebrate our individuals is we look at the data and we look at individual skills obtained, and that's just a great number to celebrate, right? After 6 months, Jonathan has learned 15 new skills. There's also the feature of a session report. And the session report is going to give you that information. Oops. Let me go out of this. And it is basically, the session report is basically a way to capture information using, let me just pull it up really quick so you can see it while I'm talking about it. This is when the instructor or the direct support logs in, this is their activity log. And so it's basically gonna tell you all of the activity they've completed, that the individuals they're supporting has completed since the last time that they've logged in. The session report is basically similar to a case notes, case management notes. And so they're gonna pick the individual they're working with, and at the end of the tutoring session, they're gonna write down comments. This is really helpful for if a new tutor is taking over, can read through the session reports and really understand where Jonathan has come with his learning process. If there's turnover, the new direct support coming in is going to be able to review those case notes and see with this new position that they've taken where they're at with the individual. And we use it also as a celebration of success at meetings. We bring it and share these notes with the families. So you've got your data and you've got your number of goals you've learned, but then you've also got it written in a way of storytelling of the progress that the person has made as well. So you kind of have both sides of it.
And you don't have to go back and kind of collate all that information yourself and do a report for those meetings. Cool.
Right, exactly. It's all captured and, basically easy to, access and show that progress over time. Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, Christy, we did have one question. Somebody had to join a little late. This is available anywhere in the United States and Canada, is that right?
Yeah, it's basically, let me just pull this last slide up. Here's my contact information. This is the phone number to the office. Here's my email, and here's our website, independentfutures.com. It is available to any agency that's interested in. We could do another demonstration if you want to see any other features that I didn't cover today, because there's a lot more to it as well. And usually the next steps are we get to have a conversation about what the needs are of your agency, so I can understand how you're looking to present this to the individuals you support. And then I put together a proposal with the scope of work and the pricing, and then basically, it's a campus setup based on how you want your campus to be set up, and you start to receive your logins, and then we would go ahead and provide that professional development training.
Very good. And
Yeah.
I just shared a link in the chat box as well, so you guys can just follow that if you want to go sign up for a demo.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions for Chrissy? Not seeing anything else pop in yet. So,
Okay.
Chrissy, I really appreciate it. This was very good and helpful. Looks you guys have a great platform put together here. So.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for joining us today. And go check out the folks at Night Owl's website and Center for Independent Futures. And then if you want to, hit disabilitycocoon.com, and we'll be doing another one of these next week. Hope you can join us then. Just check the website. We've got a whole list of all of these types of trainings that are available. So thank you all for joining us. And Christy, thanks again. Dwayne, I think, just dropped off, but thanks again to Dwayne as well. So thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.